Okay, everybody, welcome to the Relevant Recruiter Show. Today I have a phenomenal guest, Michael Goldberg from Hiring Transformed, and we've got a great topic today. We are going to talk about the top 5 skills and tools that recruiters need for 2020 and beyond. So, Michael, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here with me today.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Donnie. I appreciate it. This is always exciting to hop on, especially toward the end of the year, and talk about what the future looks like.
Exactly. What happened this year and what's going to be happening in the future. So before we get into the good stuff, Michael, why don't you share a little bit about where you're at right now and a little bit, a couple of the highlights in your personal life.
Sure, appreciate that. So, Donnie, I've been running my own agency, or not agency, but really running my own consultancy is probably the better term for it, where I go into companies, small to medium size, in terms of company size, and help them either build out a recruiting function or help them retool their recruiting function. They could be experiencing longer processes, or they don't have the right tools and technologies in place. In fact, I got a call from a potential client this morning that said, hey, I'm having trouble engaging with candidates and would love to help. Could you come and train us on how to do this? And so we're talking tomorrow and going through kind of the discovery phase. But basically it entails the audit and looking at everything, and even talking to the hiring managers, talking to the executives to get like a reputation audit of talent acquisition. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and really starting to take, things are starting to really take off. And, while I do some recruiting at the director level and above, I'm only focused in doing that toward supply chain and logistic type companies. So, but generally the training, the coaching, the strategy planning, and making recommendations is going to come in at the, generally it's going to come into any kind of small to medium sized company that wants to grow from there. Personally, I've been here in Dallas for the last 29 years, married, 3 kids, 2 dogs, which, by the way, fair warning to everybody out there, could start barking at any time, right?
Yep.
But grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, went to the University of Georgia. So I don't want to see any comments about LSU on the feed. I already knew we were going to lose, so it kind of stunk. But hell, things happen for a reason, and we're playing Baylor in the Sugar Bowl, so whatever, it's fine. But been all over the country, been all over the globe, and just what they say on the online is #blessed, man. So
that's awesome. So I saw you. You mentioned the Bulldogs, but being in Dallas, are you a Dallas Cowboys fan?
Kinda. Who else am I going to root for? You got the Rangers. They kind of stink. The Stars were okay until they fired their head coach for some God-known reason for unprofessional conduct, though I could probably take a guess, but I won't. The only good thing in town right now is Luka Doncic and the Mavs. So we're pretty excited about that. Cowboys, no, not really. So, I grew up a Redskins fan, to be honest.
Okay.
But basically, when you're here 29 years, you root for the Redskins when they play the Cowboys, but everybody else, I'll pull for the Cowboys. But
right.
They're not going anywhere this year, right?
Yep. Yeah, the Baylor Georgia game should be a good one. I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Georgia won't show up just like they didn't show up
last year.
Last year at Texas, they don't care.
Yeah, they want that beat. They want the college football playoff or bust, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Awesome. So getting back into your career, obviously you didn't start off as a consultant. Tell us about your journey. How did you get into talent acquisition / recruiting? How did you get into this space?
So like 98.999%, or really 99% of us, we fell into it. But I got my degree in psychology, worked for Marriott Corporation for a while, started at an hourly level really with a college degree, moved my way up, but always was responsible once I got into supervisory and management experience at the front of the house to hire people, and I really enjoyed that. After a few years, moved here, met my wife, moved here, decided to go get my MBA in human resources management, and did that. And recruiting has always been a part of it since I won't date myself, but it's always been a part of my life, right? And then really in 2001, things kind of took off where I was like, look, I just kind of want to focus on recruiting and recruiting only, started my own contingency firm, focusing, placing HR professionals, did really well. Unfortunately, 9/11 came along and Enron and, the rest of the WorldCom and the rest of the story.
Yep.
So went into business for myself, then kind of putting myself out there as a recruiting leader and as a recruiter for organizations. So contracting myself out there, and then started growing with that. Really got my first true management experience in recruiting back in 2005 with Software Spectrum, which is now known as Inside Enterprises. Worked for Freeman, which is the global event management company, American Heart Association, which is right now becoming actually a global company, even though it's the American Heart Association.
Right.
Do have satellite offices in, I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say India. I don't know China, but there are a few others that are outside the U.S. where the research that and the mission that American Heart does that everyone's following suit in other countries. So, and then decided to go and get out there and do the work myself, right? So really felt that I had a lot to offer, and I changed each of those three companies I just mentioned. They were all in the kind of the low rankings of, they were seen as paper pushers. They weren't strategic at all. And I was able to come in and, build out a good staff, put in the right tools, put in the right technologies. And then really, what this game is all about is customer service. Right. So if you can't deliver and you just look at people, whether you're in agency recruiting or corporate recruiting, but you look at the individual as a transaction, mm-hmm. You're not going to have a very good reputation. And I think you know that. And I think a lot of the viewers out there would know that as well, right? So
right.
It's it's a shame. And so really, my goal is always to understand the business first, then start recruiting, and then start making a difference. Because without understanding the business, kind of what the hot buttons are for the different management teams that you support, or not partnering with your HR business partner, or if you're on the agency side, not really getting to know your client. And I'm not talking about bringing them cookies. I'm talking about, put a Spunkmeyer only goes so far. I can't believe it's still in business, right? But that goes so far. But if you really understand the business, research the business online, speak their language, for the agency folks, you're going to nail it. And then for the corporate side folks, if you just show that your recruiting is, your recruiters understand the strategy, the overarching business strategy, and the recruiting leaders understand how to tie recruiting to that business strategy, workforce planning, blah, 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 mm-hmm. Then they're going to be a lot more effective. And that's what I was able to do. And, I'm not, I am bragging, but, I'm pretty proud of the legacies I've left behind. And then the clients I've touched left the same legacies because, like I said, it boils down to customer service.
Yep, absolutely. And I can tell you're passionate about what you do and the impact you've made on the organizations. What is it now, like with the client base that you work with now? Is it more of the external agency or internal or both?
So right now I'm focused in on corporate, but someone said that the agency world needs help too. So I will talk to different agencies if they're definitely open to it, mm-hmm. and they kind of want the brain dump of Michael Goldberg, whether it's being training the recruiters on how to be better sourcers. Mm-hmm. What I'm really passionate about though is the engagement side of it and how we as recruiters, I mentioned something about the transaction, but basically when I engage you as a candidate, let's use that for an example. Am I really going to pick up nobody really picks up the phone anymore, which is a shame.
Right.
But am I going to send you an email or an in-mail on LinkedIn and say, hey, Donnie, I got this position for you. I think it's going to be great. Your skills seem to be a match. Let's talk. Or would you be interested in an email that said, hey, Donnie, came across your profile. I want to get to know you, kind of find out what you're interested in, where your career track is headed. I'm not mentioning the job.
Right.
Because I'm more interested in you as an individual, not you as a potential candidate or a income generating, if you're on the agency side, an income generating person,
right,
or a transaction on the corporate recruiting side, right? So, so it's the way you engage, and I think the other part of it is really, which we'll dive in here in a few minutes, is you've got to be a storyteller.
Yep.
I'm not talking about fibbing or lying. I'm talking about being able to tell the story of the organization you're representing, right?
Yep.
And does that mean that in the agency world you might have to give up the client name? Yeah. Is it still kind of old school where they don't like to do that? Yeah, it still is. But if you can tell a story of, hey, imagine yourself in, at XYZ company, and you are, you're the new director of talent acquisition or the new director of development, and you've just completed a program. How would that make you feel? What would you be thinking? So you're getting some visualization. It's almost like you're having the person close their eyes and really getting them to imagine it. Right. It's almost, I kind of compare it, and I think you probably heard this, compared to buying a car, where, imagine yourself behind the wheel of a BMW or an automobile, right? And so without sounding slicky or salesy like that, that's what they want you to do. You're putting themselves in the situation so that they can feel that experience and kind of like, yeah, kind of like that. Hey, oh, by the way, Donnie, do you get that where you're at currently? No, not really. They just hand me a new project and I move on.
Yep.
There's a big difference there, right?
100%. I think that's, in my world of helping people become more efficient with lead generation, I think there's a big misconception around a lot of the things out there, like with messaging and direct messaging. And people, what I notice with a lot of people that come in is they're, it's not just a lot of old habits where they kind of take the old school cold calling approach and try to do it digitally, right? Which is basically going right, what I call just kind of going for the jugular, right? You're just going right in for the kill rather than going through the process and playing. I always encourage my clients to play a longer game, especially, my focus is more on the business development side, but even on the candidate side, right? Is if I'm going to connect with you and I call it connect and pitch. If I connect and pitch, you're probably falling on deaf ears and you're killing your reputation, where there's so much more of an opportunity for recruiters out there to just take a different approach and play a little bit of a longer game. So I love that you're saying that. What are some of the trends that you kind of see? I know we're going to get into kind of trends and tools, but if you were just going to highlight some big trends, say, that have, happened over the last year or two in the recruitment space, before we get into the skills and tools, but just, general trends, what are you seeing happening in the recruitment space as a whole right now?
So we've already kind of started to see it. We've started to see consolidation in technology. We have started to see it in the tools that we use and Symphony Talent acquires Smashfly. I'm drawing a blank on who acquired Clinch out of Ireland. But so the tool space is going to become, the technology space is going to become more competitive, more robust. But I still think some of the players out there have a lot of room to grow. I think companies, as they're developing their technology for 2020, are really going to have to find a way to have an all-in-one system that has a CRM and an ATS, right? So a candidate relationship management system, an applicant tracking system, and they are really able to just go to one place and they can access LinkedIn, they can access everything from that one tool. And I think Aperture does that extremely well. It's my understanding Smart Recruiter, so I haven't seen the platform in a while, does that well. But I'm a big Aperture.
Okay.
A big Aperture fan. I do like Clinch, which is becoming that CRM ATS, but most importantly, and where I think they really do a good job, is recruitment marketing. I think that, when you look at the trends looking forward, recruiters are going to have to become more marketing focused.
Yep.
The days of post and pray are still out there. And, if anybody wants to see this, this video, it's out on LinkedIn. I posted it on Monday, and somebody had captured a video of me kind of standing up talking about at TalentNet last Friday, talking about how recruiters and hiring managers and candidates are all pointing the finger at each other around ghosting. So, ghosting is a whole nother hour of conversation, but it's kind of become my hot topic. I just think there's way too much finger pointing and no one's willing to take accountability, right? And when it boils down to it, we are accountable to, whether you're an agency recruiter or a corporate recruiter, to what? It's to be accountable and to fill positions and to make sure that your cost per hire or the cost of leaving a position open over a long period of time is keeping company costs down. No, it's not hard dollars to the bottom line, but I see it as those invisible dollars that do impact the bottom line over a long period of time. There's been a lot of talk that while video interviewing is still there, that it might not be as effective and as cool. It certainly takes away the candidate experience from people that are wanting to talk with candidates. And how can you tell a story by doing through a one-way video interview? Could you do it like this where we're holding Zoom? Yeah, I think tools like Zoom, which I'm a Zoom user as myself. This is the way to do it now, and you're able to take this and put this on Facebook Live, right? And we're hoping that maybe we could do this for LinkedIn Live, because it would certainly solve the problem. I don't think you can do, now that I'm thinking about it, Donnie, after we were talking, I don't think you can do. I think you have to go through their approved vendors, LinkedIn's approved vendors. So,
right.
Yeah. So basically, it's there's this is going to work for that technology. On the candidate engagement side, we talked about that. We have to pick up the phone. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm pretty sure I could take a wild guess that you are a phone guy. You don't like to interact through text or email. Yep. Or InMail, right? Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, I teach, it's one of the biggest, again, going back into what people think of perception of, I teach so much in the digital marketing space, but for me, the game is always won offline, either face-to-face, on the phone. Absolutely. And I think that's, everything that I'm trying to do is trying to help make that phone interaction easier. So I think that's one of the kind of the biggest misconceptions or myths out there around, digital marketing, is that you can do the whole job, and the whole recruiting job just via, automation and all these things. But, all of that should really be used to leverage and make this interaction a hell of a lot easier.
Absolutely. So I'm just kind of checking out your comments here. It says from Jennifer.
Yep.
I agree with him 1,000% about accountability as recruiters, and his comment about reaching out to candidates to learn more about their goals versus just pitching jobs. I wish I could stay on longer, but I have an interview. Well, good luck on that interview, Jennifer. Well, you're not interviewing. You're probably interviewing somebody.
Yep.
So yeah, no, thanks for that comment. I like picking up the phone. You can call me old school all you want. Everybody, continues to point those fingers at those millennials do this and the millennials do that. It was interesting. So I was at I'm on the board of DFW, Texas Recruiters Network here, and I attended a luncheon here. I think it was last Wednesday, and it was interesting. Rick Martinez, I don't know if you know him. He's an agency recruiter here, runs R2 Technologies. He actually had a panel of millennials, and so I thought I'd test the theory out, where I said, are you going to respond to, I asked them in front of everybody, I said, are you going to respond to, a text or an email or an in-mail? And they said, well, if I don't know you, no. So what does that tell me? It tells me I've got to build the relationship with that person first. even before I call them, I've got to build the relationship with them first. So again, an email, just like a phone call, well, we talked about the emails, right? You've got to have a story. You've got to say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about you. And I think the common misconception by most recruiters is they think it's about them. And yes, we're all under a lot of pressure from our managers and our leaders, especially in the agency world, to bring in revenue in the door. But we sacrifice that by just hurrying right in. So, you've heard me say this before. If did I ask my wife to marry her on the first date? Hell no. Yep. She had to get to know me.
Yep.
And now that she knows me, 29 years later, she still loves me, I think. But basically, I'm kidding. But basically, she, we had to get to know each other. She had to get to know me. I had to get to know her. I had to understand the quirks. Blah blah blah. I mean, that's. I've heard other comparisons, but for the cleanliness of this conversation, I'm going to keep it clean. So,
yep. Relationship 101, right? Well, is she responding to your texts now, though?
My wife?
Yeah.
Actually, she does. She does. And sometimes sometimes I'll respond to her. So or vice versa. So
it takes some time.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm here with, if you guys are watching live, we're here with Michael Goldberg. Awesome interview we got going on right now. We're going to actually talk about the topic that Michael really is passionate about, and that's the top 5 skills and tools that recruiters need for 2020 and beyond. So, Michael, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, are we counting from 1 to 5 or 5 to 1 here?
It's interesting. I think it's not. These aren't in any particular ranked order.
Okay.
So I'll say that these are 5 crucial skills, and these skills are a learned trade. It's not that it's super hard, but practice makes perfect.
Yep.
So, do you want me to just dive right in?
Yeah, let's dive right in. And if you guys are watching, feel free to comment, ask questions. And if you're loving this value that Michael's dropping right now, please give us a like or a love on this so we can get some more eyeballs.
Absolutely, and share it as well too, with friends and family. Yep. So basically, probably my first, and we've already kind of talked about it, is the recruiters are going to need to become storytellers. Just like salespeople need to be storytellers, whether that's non-recruiting related. I was just at a conference with a lot of salespeople, and we had talked about this. Is you've got to be able to convey, the story. And so whether you're doing a story on a social post, or you're doing it on, you're contacting a candidate, things of that nature, you have to be able to tell a story, and the story has certain structures, right? Every story has has a theme, whether it's a love story, good versus evil, the whole 9 yards, right? So you have that hero, and in this case, your candidates are going to be your hero, and they want to accomplish a goal, and so to get to that goal, they're probably going to have to go through some obstacles. But in the end, love conquers all, good destroys evil. You have the proverbial happy ending, or feel good ending. In most cases of movies and stories that you read, they're always going through some strife, and it's not like good things happen, bad things happen, good things happen, bad things happen. It's literally everything's going great, and then boom, down, and then back up again. And you have to be able to tell that story consistently. So kind of like we were talking about the feeling of being in a new car. It's a bit deeper than that. One of the books here, I'll show this, that I like to reference, it's called Unleash the Power of Storytelling: With Hearts Change Minds and Get Results by Rob Weisenbach.
Okay.
So it's not a thick book, but it's really good and chock full of information. And so I strongly recommend everybody look at that. But really tied into becoming a storyteller, we have to, as recruiters, get into the world of video. And so you're there right now. I'm there right now. I mean, there are a lot of people out there right now. There is a great conference that's held in Dallas. I mean, there's a bunch of different video or marketing world conferences or video related conferences. The one I had came across last year was Video Marketing World, which was held in August. It's going to be in, I think, April of this year back in Dallas. Scott Simpson, who's a friend of mine, runs it. But I would encourage recruiters to start showing up to this conference because I learned a tremendous amount. The first thing I learned is if by the end of next year, you as a recruiter aren't out there marketing through video and telling stories and sharing your expertise or sharing, your wins and how you go out and recruit candidates, things of that nature, you're going to be irrelevant. You're going to be behind the curve. And I'm not painting dark days. I'm just saying
it's reality.
Yeah, it's reality. You've got a very short, probably I'd say 3 to 6 months from now, because if everybody's doing it, the ones that are relevant are the ones that stayed ahead of the curve.
Yep.
And you and I were ahead of the curve. And and things like this, the live events. So whether you're on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live, or you want to do IGTV, it just depends on where you want to go and attract those candidates.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing is you don't need expensive equipment. I mean, yep. I use my iPhone. I use prop lights, not as fancy as yours, but I've got it shining on me. And you just need a good mic that just kind of plugs in, and that's all you need. A lot of people think, oh, I need a production team and all this. Well, yes, there is some editing you have to do to that video, mm-hmm. and yes, you may have to break it up. And so, yes, that does take time. But what I say, at least in my world, I don't know if you do this, Donnie, or not, but I just get out there, throw it up on iMovie, cut where I need to cut, and then I've already built my thumbnails to go in before and after or during, mm-hmm. right? And the technology has become so easy.
Yeah.
To have several people on there, and then to, if you wanted to share your screen and show something, you have that ability. But you can outsource that. You could probably hire a college kid or go on Upwork or go on Fiverr. And there are editors out there that'll do it dirt cheap. Number one, they become a virtual assistant because they're overseas. A lot of the Fiverr folks are overseas, and they do fantastic work. The people I've worked with do fantastic work. So there is some work to it, but you also have to come up with content, and you have to be consistent, right? So to me, I did that one post on Monday about the ghosting. But then I've kind of laid low, and I'll do something later today, right? Because you don't want to be out there in people's faces all the time. And it doesn't always have to be video. It could be just content or copy in the LinkedIn post or the Facebook post. It could be it could be a picture. It could be different slides I use Canva to design my thumbnails or my shots that I want to show off to people about top skills. Mm-hmm. So, that's just a little insight into the video world, but it's a good way to attract and engage these candidates.
Yep.
So I don't know. What do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the video, I mean, obviously you've seen, I do a lot of video. I feel like video is it because I think video really bridges that gap of know, like, and trust so quick. And especially, going into the candidate world, I mean, I always ask my clients, how is the next recruiter approaching your candidate? How is the next guy doing it? He's probably just sending that generic message, what you laid out earlier. If I showed up and I did a video to welcome and introduce myself, who's he going to engage with? He's going to engage with me, right? And so, and I think the other thing that you bring up is a huge point, which is the technology side of things. And people tend to way overthink this. And working with people hands-on, I get a lot of, we'll call them limiting beliefs or excuses, right? And it's really things that we're subconsciously putting in our way, like, well, I'm going to do video, but I need to get my setup first, right? Where just like you said, all you really need is this guy right here. I've got this video setup that I have on my desktop that, it cost me a whopping $200, to get decent lighting, a good camera, and a good thing. And so much of it becomes, to kind of steal from Gary Vaynerchuk, but it's such a truth is when you start to view your recruitment company as a media marketing company first that happens to do recruiting, those are the ones that are going to survive, right? So these types of things that we're doing right here it's just a way for us to interact and provide content to people that's relevant, that's and more engaging, right? People are getting to know you and I and our personality much more than if we were just to write something on a post. And to go into that, I think it's both, right? But video is I love video. I've been doing it for 10 plus years and generated so much revenue from it. As a result, it's a no-brainer at this point. So
no doubt. So I think there's just so much going on right now that the other people think that you have to get it right the first time.
Yep.
You know what? Show you're human and you make mistakes. It happens all the time.
Progress, not perfection.
Right. I mean, I know you and I are perfectionists and we're perfect every time, but we had to work hard to get there, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, so let's talk about the next thing, AI platforms. So I don't know about you, Donnie, but I'm pretty sick and friggin' tired of hearing about AI. No offense to the AI, but if a vendor tells me that there's AI built-in technology in their ATS one more time, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's AI is as good as the intelligence you collect and how you use that data. People think it's all these mass spreadsheets and numbers and stuff like that. It's not. To me, AI is really about having the data that's in front of you. So whether that's your CRM or your ATS, or hell, even LinkedIn or your favorite sourcing tool that's out there, those are data points for recruiters.
Right.
Doing your research and trying to gather data about if you're working on a director of a director of nursing, we'll just use that. It's really researching the area, looking at your competition, looking online for other similar hospitals that have the same required skills, looking in different medical practices that may not be related to hospitals that are looking for the same skills and knowing where to go and source those candidates from.
Yep.
To me, that's the key data. But you should also save that data in spreadsheets. Shout out, I don't know if you know Dean DaCosta. Have you heard of him?
No.
Source. Good guy. Good. You should definitely get him on your show.
Well, thank you.
This guy is he's a genius, and he basically has this one page that really it took him, I think, around 6 to 8 months to build out of all these incredible sourcing tools. Mm-hmm. To me, if you're using one or two tools correctly, you can collect data. Nobody says you have to use every single tool that's on his page, mm-hmm. but you pick a 2, 3, maybe 4 tools, and it's great. One that's not even related to recruiting that I use, appropriately, it's called, now I'm blanking, oh Lord, have mercy. What do you call it? Stream.ai. You know what I'm talking about?
No, you said Extreme.ai. What does it do?
Hold on. I can't. No, Seamless.ai. Sorry.
Okay.
SEAMLESS.ai. It actually, it's pretty cool. Do you want me to pull it up? I can show you.
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, let's see here. So give me a second. Pardon me, America.
While Michael's pulling that up, feel free to ask any questions. This is a lot of stuff he's dropping right here. So we can put some of the links in the comments too as we wrap this thing up. But
definitely. Well, and I think again, this is one tool, and while we're talking about tools, one of the things that I find here, I'm going to pull it up in a second, is that recruiters will, you know, their leader, they'll say, oh, we need more tools, we need more tools, and we get the tools, and they don't even take the time to learn the system at about at least 80% of its capacity and ability to help you. And when one thing is wrong, they go back to their managers. And I've had this happen to me as a leader. They come back to you and they say, I don't think this is going to work. I'm not going to use it anymore.
Right.
It's like, what the hell? We just dropped 10, 15, 100, 200,000 on some technology. No, wrong answer.
Yep.
Wrong answer. You are going to learn it. We are going to have fun learning it together. And does it have to produce results accurately 100% of the time? The answer is no.
No. There's nothing that exists that way.
Exactly. So here, let's see here if I can get this to pop up. There we go. Can you see it?
Yep.
I'm waiting for it to, I'm seeing if it's going to pop up on the screen, but basically this is what it does. So if I want to look, if you can see this, of course, there's my Zap Info button, which I love as a tool. But you can see if you wanted to look at, I can do either find contacts or I can find companies, right? So if I'm going to do a search, I can do, let's say I want to look for, what did I say? Director of nursing. Nursing, I can do that. If I know if there's other titles like nursing manager, you know, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You want to try all different levels. There may be people that have been nursing managers and are looking to move into a director of nursing role as their next logical step in their career progression. If you know companies, you can certainly add companies here. So, you know, I can add, what are some of the big ones? Tenet, HCA, I think it's HCA. Well, yeah, here, like HCA Physician Services, you could try that. We can put Baylor Healthcare, which is a big a big hospital here. Well, it's Baylor Scott and White, that's what it is. I don't know why I can't find that. So, oh, I know why. Oh, well, we'll just try this. So basically, and then I can enter keywords here. And so what I'll do is I'll then hit search. And so what the tool is doing is basically pulling, and it's very much like a Hire Tool without the, I don't know if you know Hire Tool or Seek Out.
Yep.
You know, Hire Tool has, and Seek Out have links to LinkedIn. This does, this can, but in order to do it, and so it's a $97 a month subscription, which is great, right? Yep. You can see some of the results here. Now, if I wanted to do, I guess the one thing, because this is probably going to do a pretty big search here, I'm going to search by city. So I'll just type in Dallas to see who's going to show up in Dallas. So here you go, right? So she's an emergency, so ED is emergency department nursing supervisor. So you can do the tool for free and you get up to 25 initial credits. If you want more, you've got to buy those credits.
Of course, yes.
Essentially what I can do is I can click this find email, and it's only doing it. Now I can select all of them and pull all of these up. There's this, I get unlimited searches for the $97 a month. So to me, totally worth it.
Yep.
Right. And now on the numbers that you so basically there you go. Krista.Kellam@tenethealth.com. And then this is the main switchboard number. In some cases, and you can see the social profiles that are connected to her, right? You can even connect this to your CRM. Now, the best CRM that this works, I don't know if it works with like some of the bigger ones, but I know it'll work with like Zoho, and it'll work with Salesforce, which is great. But it even gives, that's the main corporate headquarters. Now, she's probably at a specific location, and now that we don't know, except we could go on LinkedIn here, and it'll pull up. I wonder if it's going to ask me to log in, but it'll, Tenet Healthcare. So let's see, it just says she's in Dallas. It doesn't, let's see if it gives us the specific hospital as to where it comes up. I've got to connect with her to show she doesn't have, like most nurses, they don't have robust profiles. So, but you get the idea, right?
Yep. Great.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you heard of that before?
I've never heard of Seamless. I actually recommend Snove.io. And Snove it's very similar. It's kind of a, connects with like LinkedIn. You can scrape data from LinkedIn, websites, anywhere like that. You can do social searches, very, very similar. The cool thing about it is it actually has an email campaign. So you can go grab people and automatically put them right into an email campaign to try to get their attention. So I like that service as well. This seems very, very interesting as well. It always comes back into, like you said, is like, it's never perfect, right? Some of the data you're going to get is going to be a home run. Some of the data you're going to get, it's not going to be relevant, but yeah, it's take out the E. So kind of like Stovio, but I can actually pull that up on my screen if you wanted to see it as well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, the purpose of this is sharing tools. So let me stop sharing and you can pull it up.
Yep.
Is there
a couple questions on here? So Laura was asking, would it be beneficial to post a video on your search you're engaged in on LinkedIn? Never thought of that. I would say 100% do that today, Laura. That's a great way to attract passive candidates. Matt Scanlon was asking what percentage of emails are correct. We're finding about a 30% success rate with companies like Seamless. Do you have any feedback on that, Michael?
So here's the thing. So there are tools you can use. So with that, when I do see something like that, yeah, I'd say I'd probably say it's maybe 45, 50%. And that's still, 50-50. I think that's pretty good odds, right? It's better than not having anything at all.
Yeah,
but there are tools, right, that you can use, and I'm blanking on the one, Zoom Info. So not to be confused with the tool we're using here, but Zoom Info actually is more accurate. But there are tools like Email Hunter that I use. Do you have any good that'll tell you the probability that the email that you enter is going to be correct? Now, are you going to get kickbacks on some? Absolutely, but don't give up. Keep going. I'm telling you, you can't do it. So, I mean, do you have any email verification tools that you like, Donnie?
So this tool here, Snove, you can see that it'll verify valid emails in here. Now, I don't think it's 100% accurate. If you guys can see the screen here,
even though they think it is,
because my email is not verified and it's 100% me. So, but the great thing about this tool is you can essentially, go into a sales navigator search on LinkedIn. Hopefully nobody's from LinkedIn here is watching this, but you can go in there and basically take your entire search, whether it's, clients or candidates, and you can see, like, I've basically broken up lists here. So I have an owner list. I've got about 34,000 recruiter owners on here. Financial advisors for a friend. I was just testing some things. Then I went after people that have, franchises, and you can essentially go to that entire list and scrape the information. Now on the export, you get a lot of data, more than what it's just showing right here, with people's emails and things. So
does it give you phone numbers on the export?
You know what? I would have to look at that. I don't do so much with phone numbers, so I haven't paid attention to it much. I think you'll get some, but it's not a big list of phone numbers. I don't think it's kind of the wheelhouse for this, but you can see, you can set them right into an email drip campaign. The other thing you can go to is right to a website. And so actually, let me show you this.
What's this cost per month?
This starts at $29 a month, and that package is at $50. You're going to basically pay for the amount of contacts. So for $25, I think you get 1,000 contacts. For $50, you get 100 plus or so, or 5,000 plus. Excuse me.
I think 1,000 contacts is plenty.
Yep. So the cool thing that I like about this is, so this is from a website here, right? We went to this pharmaceutical firm here, and look at the data you get, just from going to their website. You can find out who the VPs are, who the CEO is, you can eventually unlock their information. So, I mean, it's incredibly powerful tool, when you're using it properly. Now, just to kind of show everybody, one of the things that you can put into, I recommend this plugin, it's called LinkedIn Nefarious. And this tool actually will show you what LinkedIn is actively looking for and looking at from the automation side. What's on their radar? What can possibly get you booted off? So if you are using any tools and you're concerned, does LinkedIn know or not? LinkedIn Nefarious will tell you. It's a really cool tool, really cool plugin.
So is it LinkedInnefarious.com or what?
So,
or is it a Chrome extension?
It's a Chrome extension. So let me just kind of pull it up for you and see. So yeah, it's just Nefarious LinkedIn. So you can see, I don't know if you guys, well, they can't see it yet, but they'll be able to see it here soon. So yeah, you can see all the different tools that are on here, right? So what's out there and what they're looking for. So a lot of the automation tools like Duck Soup that people have heard of, Linked Helper. I mean, these are all over LinkedIn's radar. So if you're using those, be careful. But this is a good tool to look at. Is, not saying that you're necessarily going to get shut down from them, but it's good to know what LinkedIn's looking for. And let's see, Seamless.ai is on there. Snovio hasn't shown up on there for a while, so that's good. But it's good to just know for your own safety what LinkedIn's looking for and what it's not when it comes to the scraping stuff.
So this Nefarious because I use Seamless, it wouldn't block me out, would it? Unless I'm overly abundant sending messages.
Exactly. I think it's always in. I don't think that LinkedIn is LinkedIn is really it's not like they're not aware of what's going on. I think they're looking for abuse, right? So as long as you're not abusing their tool, then I think you're okay, but don't take that to the bank or anything.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. So I got a call from this company, I won't mention them, a couple of weeks ago, said, well, they use Sales Navigator. They allege that they have some agreement with them, but basically they want $1,500 for the software. They want $75 per month. So $1,500 for the software, just the software. But then they use Sales Navigator. They can assure me that I'll have 4 phone calls a week from clients who need recruiting help. And I'm asking my folks, I'm like, isn't that going to hurt my recruiting reputation? And couldn't they shut LinkedIn down on me? The answer is absolutely yes, they can. LinkedIn will shut you down if you start pulling crap like that, because what it does is it starts sending automated emails. So I'm sure everybody on this, I'm sure as a business owner, get this email, hey, I'd like to connect. And then maybe a minute later, once you hit connect, it sends the first,
yep.
Hey, buddy, want to talk to you. I see you're a business owner, and I can guarantee you, 10 leads a month. No, you can't. Right? And you're just like, God almighty, stop. And so there's a lot of people that do it. You know what happens? I don't know about you, and I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but basically I block them, I report them, spam, and I block them. And after a certain period, LinkedIn's going to kick you off, and you've got to start all over again. I've got 11,000 connections. I don't really feel like starting all over again, but all your content, everything you've created is gone.
Yep.
So if you get calls like that, agency recruiters, don't do that. You're just setting yourself up to get kicked off LinkedIn.
Yeah. So I've actually worked with the automation on LinkedIn for a while, and there's, the connect and pitch approach, just it'll kill you. But you can actually, there's some very creative ways that you can use them if you're willing to play the long game. If you understand how to use the tool to actually use LinkedIn for what it's for, which is the network, right? So there's a right way to do it for sure. But yeah, because I get that same thing, right? Everybody's now a coach or a consultant, right? And they pop up and then it's like, well, why would I use you? I just got an email from a guy that said he can deliver me, 10 to 20 calls and every single week on LinkedIn. And I just asked him, do you think that's really possible? Like if somebody's, promising you that, like, is that really how this game works? So it's certainly something that's, from the messaging standpoint, it's saturated. And, I think it's if done well, it's still a great approach, but if you're connecting and pitching, you have no chance.
Right. Yeah. So I've got a good friend of mine in Houston. His name's Mike Cohen, Mike Batman Cohen. He goes by Batman. His company's name is Wayne Technologies. It's pretty cool. He's an incredible sourcer.
Yep.
And in his tagline on LinkedIn, he says, "Tools do a job, comma, not your job." So you still have the human element. So are robots and AI, taking it back to our conversation, are they taking over? No. They're tools that help us do our job.
Yep.
Use those tools, and I've got another friend, Bradley Richardson, who says, fools with tools are still fools.
Yep.
Right? You know, because they don't bother to learn how to use the tools correctly, and they don't bother to take the personal steps. They think there's this, you know, this one giant easy button they can just push, and poof, they'll have a million candidates lining up outside their door to join them, and it's just not it. So
I think that's a great point you make about the tools, because so many people that I engage with are always looking at what's the next tool. And it's for me, what I try to build, it's the strategy. Like you can go buy whatever tool you want. It doesn't create business. It doesn't create relationships. All the tools should be driving the strategy, right? That's what the tools are really for. But so many people skip the strategy part and get the tool, and then the reputation starts to burn from there. You know, so it's so important with all these things that you're doing is, like you said, that, you know, a fool with a tool is still a fool. You know, you got to have the strategy first to leverage, because the tools out there that I use are great, but when used, you know, poorly without that strategy, like it's going to work probably against you more than it is for you.
yeah, and I mean, and that's a great point, Donnie. That's what I try to impart to the clients that I'm working with, that let's build a strategy out. So I help companies, because a lot of the recruiting leaders out there, they have trouble doing it. They have trouble building a strategy. They think the strategy is just to fill positions, or they say, bring on more tools or bring on more people. Well, number one, you're wasting money, because if you don't have a strategy behind it, you don't take the time to learn it, you know, you're burning money. So, and by the way, Lori Yates asked, which site is that, Donnie? I think it was she was asking about either seamless.ai, SEAMLESS.ai.
Yep.
Or and then what was it?
Snove.io, Snovio.
Right.
The two sites, Laura, yeah.
snov.io, and then the nefarious tool through a Chrome extension. So I know we've been talking a while. There are a couple of other points that I'm making. The last two I'll make real quick is that, to me, it's super, super important. And I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago for William Tincup's HRTX group. You know, I don't know if you know Tincup or Noel Coca, Ryan Leary, but we talked about the importance of recruiters and sourcers. Were in small to medium-sized organizations, recruiters also doing the sourcing. You can't just sit around and wait for the candidates to come. And look, I get it, you're busy. I get it. Mm-hmm. But do your candidates care that you're busy? No. Guess why? They're busy too.
Yep.
They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They just want to see people.
Yep.
If make us, I'm sorry if I've offended anybody. Kind of. But, you know,
no offending going on here.
Yeah, right. Well, it's Facebook, right? LinkedIn, you're not supposed to. Here you can. But seriously, bringing it all together, no one says you have to be the expert sourcer. You have to drop everything you're doing to source candidates. But if you just took 2 hours a day to build some data points, some lists and research, or go invest in someone that can find these talent for you, again, outsource that piece of it, then do that. But I really think recruiters and sourcers need to become one of those small to medium-sized organizations. And to your point around strategy, when you have enterprise-sized organizations, you have your sourcing teams and your recruiting teams. The two need to go hand in hand from step one to close. And it's up to the sourcing leader and the recruiting leader to ensure that everybody's engaged and going along the same path, and nothing's getting off track. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think, you know, if companies don't have that strategy in place and how the communication is going to work together, you're still going to run into issues. So my advice is to tool up. You know, happy to come out there and show you how to source. There's great things out there. SourceCon Academy through ERE is a great online tool. Social Talent, the sourcing ninja tool through Johnny Campbell out in Ireland, but it's available here in the US, is fantastic. I mean, there's so many tools out there to teach you just the basics. And all you need is the basics enough to be dangerous.
Yep.
You don't have to be a Dean DeCosta or a Cindy Davis or but Mike Batman Cohen. They're phenomenal sourcers. They know what they're doing. But at the end of the day, you need to go out there and take some steps to learn how to source. And then finally, which we've kind of already talked about it, is that recruiters need to become hiring advisors. So in other words, don't be a yes person. Push back when you need to push back. Ask important questions, not about, oh, when are you available to interview or when are you on vacation? Those points are important, and I get that, all right? I'm not saying they're not.
Right.
But how is this position making an impact on the company? What are some of the existing projects or exciting projects that this person's going to be able to work on? Why choose this position over the same position with our competitors? What's the growth path? And that's a huge one that a lot of companies won't address. Don, let me ask you, those 4 questions that I just asked, what does that help you build before you put a posting out there or do a video? What are you doing?
Building a relationship, building rapport with the person.
But you're telling a
story.
You're telling a story. This is your story point.
Yep.
You got your candidate, that's the hero, and here are the things that they're going to go for. So on top of what are some of the exciting projects that are working on, what are some of the obstacles that they're going to face?
Yep.
They could be working with a challenging IT department, or they could be working with a program leader that's very demanding, and you've got to be able to pivot in terms of your personality to make sure that folks are happy, or not happy, but make sure that things are getting done on time and at budget.
Right.
So just become their advisor. Don't just become a paper pusher or some resume junkie. Just talk with them and communicate with them literally at least once a week, but I always recommend 2 times a week. Once on like Monday to give them your plan for the week to attack their position. Mm-hmm. Friday to follow up to where you are. Here's the thing. It's a bad thing. You're not an advisor, you're an order taker. When your hiring manager or your client calls you and says, what's the status? I haven't heard from you in a while. That's the worst feeling. And if recruiters don't feel that it's like one of the worst feelings because you're not delivering, shame on you. You should, because you're not delivering for them. So that's my spiel. I'm sticking to it.
Well, I love it, man. That was just a ton of value. And I hope I know everybody listening, got a lot of value out of that. How can everybody connect with you moving forward, Michael? How can we get you?
Sure. I appreciate that. So you can reach me at michael@hiringtransformed.com. Here, let me get my business card out here. I'll stick it in front of the camera. It's probably going to show up backwards though, isn't it? So
no, it's good. We're good.
Yeah. So is it good on your end? On me, it looks backwards when I'm.
Yeah, you could barely read the email and stuff. There you go. There it is. Bang. There's Michael's contact info for you.
Yep. 469-955-2561.
Yep.
And here's one of the things I do, Donnie, and you and I have talked about it, is I like to look, I don't expect a sale or any type of, I don't pressure anybody, right? So I don't expect a sale down the road. Yeah, I would, but what I always like to do is spend 30 minutes with people that are interested in hearing more from learning on this, or maybe going down a deeper path on videos or something like that. And I do it for free. I give them, how much ever time, 30 minutes to an hour if they need it, to talk about whether it's to talk recruiting challenges or what's the best content for videos and things of that nature, right? So I do offer that, but I'm also willing to say, hey, I want to engage you. So here are the things, if I can, one last, if you have a recruiting organization that is fledgling, call me. If you don't have a recruiting organization but want to start one, call me. If your hiring managers or recruiters and sourcers need training to up their game, call me. And Donnie, I can't say how much I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk on your show today. Can't wait. If you didn't catch it live, of course, it's always going to be on that replay, right? And so I'll put that link out on my Facebook. I'll put it out on LinkedIn, Twitter, so that the world sees it.
There you go, guys. So if you need help in the recruiting space, whether with your recruiting strategy, tactics, ideas, Michael Goldberg is your man. So Michael, I want to thank you so much for being here. If you can leave one last tip specifically for the main audience that's watching this here, which is, lack of a better word, third party external recruiters, recruiting agencies, what's one tip that you can give them for competitive advantage for 2020? Bring it home.
You ready?
Yep.
And if this offends people, sorry. Don't be lazy. Take the initiative and get shit done in 2020 and beyond. And I guarantee you, you're going to be a rock star. But don't sit back and wait for candidates to apply. Go chase it, go learn it, and go kill it.
I love it. It's so important. I always call it implementation, right? You have to implement, you have to do the work to get the results. So love that advice. Again, thank you so much for being here.
One other thing, don't wait till the first of the year. It's going to get busy again. This is the perfect time to tune up your sourcing skills or to tune up your video skills or to learn more about certain tools. This is the perfect time. It's quiet. Yeah, people are having parties and stuff like that, but take the time, just take 20 minutes a day. Take it instead of going to lunch out with your buddies, which you do all the time, sit at your desk and close the world off and go for it.
We're speaking the same message. I mean, it is just, I've been talking to my clients, prospective clients. Now's the time to plan. Your competition, they're putting their feet up for Christmas.
Yeah.
So if you have an excuse about creating content, well, then do it over Christmas. That's right. Stack up 10 to 20 videos that you can roll out through the first quarter. There's no excuse right now. Now's the time. So I love that, Michael. We're definitely seeing eye to eye on that. Thank you so much for being here, dropping major value in the group today. And I will get the recording to you soon. We'll share this out to the network. But let's keep in touch, man. We'll do another one of these later on this year. Great topic. And again, thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thanks for everybody tuning in, whether it's live or in the future.